Salute everybody. This is Lawrence D. Adams. This is when spirituality and the game combines. I just was just on Facebook, and somebody I knew in California just posted that she don't want to deal with any man who worships Kevin Samuels. So I had to respond. I couldn't just let that sit there. And I realized I did respond. I said there's a difference between worship and agreeing with someone, and that the conversation that Kevin brought was something that has always been there, that men have been talking about. Kevin's just one of the voices who brought it up to the forefront. And so, and it also enabled women to really look at themselves and what they really, how men really view them. So it made me think about it. As I'm walking here by the duck pond, it made me think about it. I realized that some people, especially society, in this case, in the context in which I'm talking about, women would prefer that you live in the fantasy that they create than in the reality of how things really are. Let me say that again. People, but I'm going to say in the context of what I'm talking about, this is not to talk disparaging against women, because this is just the reality of it. People or women would rather you live in the fantasy that they create than the reality of how things really is. And I think what's happening is we have a lot of people who are realizing that the fantasy that they've been given didn't serve them, but it actually serves everyone around them. Say that again. That the fantasy that they have been propagating and shelling out and sharing only benefits them, and it does not benefit you as the person who's a part of their fantasy. And so when this young lady said that, I understand where she was coming from, because for a man to realize what Kevin was talking about, or men to be talking like this, that means that they cannot push the fantasy or the drug fantasy that they've been given to men who understands how things really are in these streets or in the world. So that means that puts them in a disadvantage. Let me say that again. That puts them in a disadvantage. And they're in a disadvantage. They have to think of a new racket or a new way to put you back into check. Let me say that again. They have to think of a new way to put you back into their what? Trick bag. See, it's more profitable to the person who's tricking, or to the person who's receiving the trick, than for the trick. And if a woman or if society can get you to do that, then you become actually a non-essential person, but you also become a person who does not think. And I'm big on you thinking and reasoning and using your logic. So to bring my point home of what I really want to get at, don't live in anybody's fantasy or their reality if it's not serving you, especially you as men. A lot of you guys are in the fantasy world of what a woman is and not the reality of what she is. Now, when I read that post, I realized, and the women that were commenting in it, they were mad because the gig was up, or the sham that they had going on was completely done with. And now they have to face the reality of it is men can see who we really are. And once that happens, now they have to really, not just them, they have to really fend for themselves. So I want you to think about it. Don't fall for anybody else's fantasy of what they think you should be or how it should be with them. You need to know the reality of how things is. Let me say that again. You need to know the reality of how things really is. See, what gets guys in trouble is, and they see the hips, they see the fingertips, they see the booty, they've seen all of that, but they don't see the reality of who that woman is and her true character. And if you don't see her true character, you're bound to fall into a trick bag, but you're bound to be tricked, and you're bound to fall for something that you didn't even sign up for. Many men have got married to women to find out later there wasn't a woman that she's not the woman they married, but she came out a whole different way with them because they were not strategic and in paying attention to what her character. They were in a fantasy. And that's the thing. Everybody wants to sell you a fantasy, but they don't want to sell you the reality. Let me say that again. Everyone wants to sell you a fantasy, but they don't want to sell you the reality. I was at breakfast yesterday. I was talking to one of my friends, and she was saying, if a man would just be straight up and tell me what he wants, I can make a decision if I want to participate or not. In a particular scenario, the guy was playing games till he wanted to marry her, and he wanted to wine and dine her. He got drinks. So his whole goal was to get in her pants. But if he had just say, you know what, I'm just getting back to know you. Maybe we should get together. I want to get down with you. I want to just do this. It would have fared better for him. So he was selling a fantasy to her instead of selling the reality of it. Instead of selling the reality of what he really wanted, his true intentions. Everyone is on the go. Not everyone. A lot of people are on the go to sell a fantasy, but not sell the reality of who they are. So I want you to think about that today, in light of what even with the light of what I shared about even Kevin Samuels. Like I said, some things I agree with Kevin and some things I didn't. It's part of nature. You're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to see eye to eye with everybody. That's just human nature. If not, you're just a person who follows after everyone else's lead. And I'm definitely not that person. But I don't agree with you. I just don't agree with you. That doesn't mean I don't like you as a person. But I want you to think this other part of it too. In light of Kevin Samuels, a lot of disagreement that people have is because they got into their feelings instead of listening to the context of what was being said. Let me say that again. A lot of disagreements that some people have with Kevin, and I don't agree with him with everything, but was because of what they felt about what was being said versus what was actually being said. There's a difference. Well, this is Lawrence D. Adams. I want you to like, comment, share. What did you think about what I said? Are you living in a fantasy, or are you actually living in the reality of how things really is? Like, comment, and share. This is Lawrence D. Adams. I am out. This is when spirituality and the game combines. You have the thinking class.